Jonas Salk and the polio vaccine. Jonas Salk took a stand for public health when he invented the first polio vaccine in 1955. Salk's polio vaccine was a great success in history as it saved thousands of lives. Since Jonas Salk didn't patent the vaccine, he was seen as a selfless person. Jonas Salk also took many risks in his medical journey to create the polio vaccine. He risked his own life and his family's lives by testing his vaccine on them, even though they don't have polio. This was a risk because the vaccine held a live poliovirus which could actually infect the people Jonas Salk wanted to cure. In the end, it was all worth it for Jonas Salk. He was announced a public hero by the President of the United States of America at the time, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Jonas Salk was born on October 28, 1914, in New York City to parents of Russian Jewish descent. In 1947, Jonas Salk began his work on polio, also known as infantile paralysis, at the lab at the University of Pittsburgh. In the early 20th century, polio was one of the most feared diseases in America because of how dangerous it was. Jonas Salk was pushed by his parents who had no formal education to study hard in school. He did study hard, and excelled through all his school years. Salk was invited by Harry Weaver, the director of the National Foundation of Infantile Paralysis, because he saw that Jonas Salk had great promise. This led to the invention of the first polio vaccine. In an interview for Jonas Salk, they asked him, "Who does the vaccine belong to?" Jonas Salk said, "The people, I would say. There is no patent. Could you patent the sun?"
Who owns the patent on this vaccine?
Well, the people, I would say. There is no patent. This is. Could you patent the sun?
It wasn't just Salk's work that led up to the polio vaccine. The whole world had a part in making it. In the 13 years leading up to the vaccine's creation, the budget of the National Foundation of Infantile Paralysis swelled up from $3 million to $50 million. Polio is a dangerous disease that infects humans through contact with human waste. Polio causes flu-like symptoms including sore throat, fever, tiredness, and more. Some people will have polio but won't have the symptoms. Even if they don't have the symptoms, they can still pass on polio. Polio killed over 6,000 people and paralyzed 27,000 people. Vaccines work by exposing the body to a weakened form of the virus, thereby stimulating antibiotics to react to the disease and prepares the body to fight polio. To Salk's credit, he refused to patent his vaccine and did not want the vaccine named after him. It was altruistic wish that the vaccine be used to eliminate polio on a global level. Salk worked extremely hard, putting 16 hours a day, 7 days a week to create a working polio vaccine. After successful tests on lab animals, the vaccine had to be tested on human beings. His wife and kids trusted him so much that they volunteered to become his human guinea pigs. In 1952, Jonas Salk began testing the vaccine on children. After the vaccine was proven that it was 99% efficient, the 650,000 kids were vaccinated. Jonas Salk also had part in studying other diseases and helped create vaccines for them. Polio attacks the nerve cells and sometimes the central nervous system, often causing muscle wasting, paralysis, and even death. In the early 20th century, polio was one of the most feared diseases in the US, paralyzing thousands of children each year. Egyptian hieroglyphs show that polio existed for thousands of years. There was even the Egyptian god of polio. The polio vaccine exposes children to a mild dosage of the virus, which causes the body to develop the antibiotics necessary to combat it. The disease brought on flu-like symptoms that would disappear after a few days in some people, but would lead to paralysis in others. Even children who seem to fully recover can develop new muscle pain, weakness, or paralysis as adults. Salk created the vaccine for the people, not for himself and the money. If Salk had patented the vaccine, many more people would die, and Salk would have made a lot of money. Salk received a master's degree from New York University in 1939 and was appointed assistant professor of epidemiology at the University of Michigan. In 1916, Salk launched his own research organization and called it Salk Institute for Biological Studies. After all of Salk's hard work, he saved thousands of lives throughout the decade after he created the polio vaccine. With his groundbreaking vaccine, Jonas Salk earned his place in medical history. Polio was eradicated, and kids today don't have the fear of this deadly disease. Salk left a big impact on future biologists and scientists. Salk's vaccine was an example for many other vaccines to come. I think that Jonas Salk was a great man that sacrificed most of his life protecting people against diseases and illnesses. Salk's work teaches us that you have to work really hard to make a difference in this world. This is how Jonas Salk took a stand in medical history.